Hey everyone, Mr. Voikin here, and we're moving on to lesson 3. We're going to be multiplying two binomials together. So let's just get started. So you can see right here on question A that we have a binomial inside these brackets multiplied by another binomial inside those brackets. So when we get two brackets side by side like that, the process we're doing is multiplication. Now, just like before, we can sort of feed the chickens again, except basically we've got two farmers right here. Okay, but it's the same process. So essentially, this 5 needs to be multiplied by that and by that, and then the negative 6 needs to be multiplied by that and by that. Okay, now we're going to start off with using what we call an area diagram to solve this out. So essentially what we want to do is draw a grid. So you're going to draw a grid down, down, and down. So basically 3 lines like that, and we're going to do 1, 2, 3 lines like that. And we are multiplying. And what are the two numbers that we're multiplying? Well, 5x and negative 6. And then the other ones are 2x and positive 1. So essentially what I want to do is multiply these two together to end up right here. These two together for this square. These two together for this square. And these two together for that square right there. So the first one, 2x times 5x is 10x, and 2x times negative 6 is negative, that's a 10x squared, sorry, because we got x and x. 2x times negative 6 is negative 12x. 1, a positive 1 times 5x is a positive 5x, and 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. Now I just need to take those numbers that I have inside there and put them, sort of gather the terms and put them in descending order. So I'll start off with my 10x squared with a degree of 2, and I'll write that down here. And I can see I now have two of them, a negative 12x and a positive 5x, leaving us with a negative 7x, and then I have one constant, which is a negative 6, and that would be your final answer for that. We're going to do the same thing down here. We're just going to set up this grid. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're multiplying. We have a squared minus 5 and a squared minus 8, and a squared times a squared is a to the power of 4. A squared times negative 5 is negative 5a squared. Negative 8 times a squared is negative 8a squared. And negative 8 times negative 5 is a positive 40. Again, we're going to start looking at what we have inside those squares, gather like terms, and lay it out in descending order. So we're going to start off with an A4. And then we have degree 2, negative 5, and negative 8, which is negative 13, A2. And I have a constant of positive 40. And that would be your final answer. Okay, same thing. We just got a different set of numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're multiplying. We have 3p and 2q, and we have p and 9q, and we just follow the same process. So p times 3p is 3p squared. P times 2q is 2pq. Now, the reason I put the p in front of the q is because it's sort of in alphabetical order. 9q times 3p is going to be, hold on a second. 9 times 3 is 27, and pq. Keep it in the same order. And now I have 9q times 2q, which is 18q squared. Okay, so in this one right here, we're going to start off with our gathering our like terms. And I need to put it in some type of logical order. So I'll start off with the p degree of 2. So we got 3p2. We'll take the next one, which is our PQs, which is going to be 2 PQs and 27 PQs for a total of 29 PQs. And finally, the bottom square right here, 18 Q2s. So plus 18 Q squared. And that is the final answer for that one. That's a really bad rectangle. Let's try that again. Much happier. Okay, and the last one that we have here is just a plus b times c plus d. So again, we're just going to lay this thing out. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, multiplying a and b times c plus d. And a times c is ac. C times b is going to be bc. D times A is going to be AD, and D times B is going to be BD. And again, we gather the like terms and put them in order. So it's going to be AC plus AD plus BC plus BD. Final answer. All right, so in the previous demonstration, we were using an area diagram to multiply these two binomials. And now what we're going to do is use something called the distributive property. And generally, we use the term FOIL. F stands for first. The O stands for outside. The I stands for inside. And the L stands for last. Okay, so when I'm multiplying these together, we just sort of want to follow that order. So the first ones, that's this one times that one. Okay, so those are the two first ones. Then the outside ones, that would be this times that. So this is my outside, and the other one that I did first was my F. Okay, now we're going to go to the inside ones, which is this one times that one. That would be my I for inside. And finally, we want to go to our L, which is the last one. So this one times that one. And if you follow that order, you're going to put things in the proper order. So let's take a look at doing this. So the F is x times x, which is x squared. Now we go to the O. The O is x times 2, which is a positive 2x. And now we want to go to our inside, and our inside is 3 times x, which is positive 3x. And finally, we want to go to our last, which is 3 times 2, which is positive 6. Okay, you should notice that these two have the same variable with the same degree, so they're going to be combined together. And we also have, a x squared and a positive 6 right here. So when I lay this out by gathering terms and putting it in a degree of descending order, it's going to be x squared plus 5x plus 6, and that is your final answer. Okay, now let's move down to the next one and complete this not using the area diagram, but using the distributive property, also called FOIL sometimes. Okay, so let's do this one. A minus 7 times 2a minus 1. So we want to deal with the first ones first, which is that times that, which is a times 2a, which is 2a squared. Then we want to do the outside, which is going to be the a times the negative 1, so that will be minus 1a. Then we're going to do the insides, which are these two right here. Multiply those together, and we're going to get negative 7 times 2, which is negative 14, and don't forget that a. And finally, we will move to the last ones, which is negative 7 times negative 1, which gives us a positive 7. And again, these two right here are going to be like terms, and then we just need to put it all together. 2a squared, negative 1, negative 14 is negative 15a plus 7. All right, so one thing to recognize in this one is that we've got two different variables here. I've got a p and a q. So that probably means that those middle terms, when we lay this out, aren't going to combine together, but let's just check it out for sure. So p times q, our first, becomes pq. Then we want to go to our outside ones, which is negative 8 times p, which is negative 8p. The inside ones is negative 8 times q, so negative 8q. And our last is going to be negative 8 times negative 8, which is positive 64. Okay, and you can see that in this case, these two have different variables, so no, they cannot combine together, and that would be your final answer. Okay, moving down to the d, x plus 4y and x minus 5y. So this time I have variables on both of them, and let's just see what happens. But again, what are we going to do? We're going to multiply our first together. X times x is x squared. Then we're going to multiply our outsides, which are right here. X times negative 5y, that will become negative 5xy. Now we want to deal with our inside ones, which again is an x and a y being multiplied together. 4, and in front of the x there would be a 1, so this would become a positive 4xy. Make sure you lay those out the same way. And finally, we want to do the last, which is positive 4y times negative 5y, which is a negative 20y. And when I look right here, that was those two that we multiplied together. Those have the same variable configuration, so I can combine those together. So when I write this out, I'm going to get x squared minus xy minus 20y, and that is your final answer. All right, like I said, I finished off the rest of these. So there's the answer for A, the answer for B, the answer for C, and we already did D together. And now your at-home assignment is going to be to solve these problems right here. So number 1, use an area diagram to determine the product of those two binomials and make sure that you're showing all your work. Number 2 is use the distributive property, like FOIL, to determine the product of both this one, a plus 7 and 3a minus 5. And also for number 3, use the distributive property to figure out 7x squared minus 3 all squared. Okay, you are going to complete that at home and bring to class as your at-home assignment. It's mandatory that it gets done and submitted. And then in class, we'll be working on the assignment in the book, which will be pages 288 through 291.